Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening with the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and I'll give you my thoughts moving forward as per usual as well. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, thoughts, etc., I do have a membership section on YouTube. That link is down below. For just $3 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, etc. on Tesla and sometimes other stocks as well. Every single day the market is open. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that plus NVIDIA daily updates as well as the market, of course, is open and trading. So all that being said and done, let's jump into it. NVIDIA closing the day up ever so slightly, 0.8% on the day, closing up pretty much 138, smack dead center right on that mark, which compared to the market, pretty much in line roughly-ish, right? Nothing too crazy. Maybe a slight underperformance, but pretty much in line with the market, we'll just say. So what is happening with NVIDIA? Why is this thing still up here? Is it going any higher or is it finally time to correct? Well, let's talk about it. So let's talk about the daily closure first, right? The daily closure is very interesting. Why? Because, well, obviously yesterday we had a push pretty much into all-time highs. Did it actually? I think it arguably broke all-time highs. I think it literally said 140.89, and this one was technically it set an all-time high yesterday. But we went to all-time highs and we sold off and we ended at the lows of the day, had another gap up, and we, lost a fair amount of this of the gap up pretty much intraday, right? But the interesting thing about this daily closure is the fact that, well, these two candles are setting up what looks to be a nice looking inside day candle, right? Where essentially you have a candle, which is today, trading completely within the inside or within the range of yesterday's candle, in this case, an inside day candle. Beautiful stuff. Why is this good? Well, it makes things a little bit easier for us. Now, obviously nothing is perfect, but one thing you can do is essentially put a line at the top of today's trading range, put a line at the bottom of today's trading range. Bam. Pretty simple stuff. And now what you want to do is you want to wait for NVIDIA to really just break above one of these two levels, right? The high of today was pretty much 139. The low of today was just above 137. A break below or above one of those two levels most likely means we get at least some form of continuation in that respective direction. So for instance, if we break above a 139, at the very least, we'll get a retest of all-time highs, obviously closing a daily candle above all-time highs, so like 140, 141. That will be bullish. I think we can see some surprising more continuation in the bullish aspect, even higher, right? However, if we close a daily candle and if we make our way down below 137-ish, or very low 130s, 137s, that's going to be potentially, at the very least, we retest 135 support range, and obviously going below that and would be bearish, right? And, even just losing that 137 would already give me some hints, the fact that, maybe we do finally start this little small correction for NVIDIA and make our way back down somewhere to the mid to low 120s, around that general range, right? You can see we have the retest potentially of that massive breakout, and we also have this trend line, red line support, very close to intersecting pretty much around the mid 120s. So that's going to be something I'll be looking for. Now, what can we look at today that can give us a potential hint as to what is to come moving forward? Well, like I said many times, and I continue saying it until it's no longer the case, it gets tiring because these things, again, this is why I always say overbought or oversold doesn't mean it has to crash or rally right away. They can stay overbought or oversold for, an extended period of time. It's just all about risk versus reward. This is what I've been saying, right? Ever since NVIDIA was in the 133s, it is higher now, of course, but it's just not a chance I personally was willing to take. It's just the risk was too high for me. But with that being said, it's still overbought. That still hasn't changed. However, with that being said, we're also setting up some bearish let me go ahead and remove this. We're also setting up some bearish scenarios. We're having a bearish divergence on the RSI, where essentially we're making higher highs, more or less. But we're setting up lower highs on the RSI. That is a bearish divergence. On top of that, we also have my stochastic now officially. I mean, if we zoom in, maybe we could get a better glimpse, but they're pretty much on top of each other. So I wouldn't even say it's a confirmed bearish cross, but man, tell me that's not the definition of indecision though, right? Past 2 days, it's just pretty much right on top of each other. But just keep in mind, any little bit of weakness, this will get a bearish crossover. That's, obviously going to be pretty important, especially if it happens all the way up here in overbought territories on the stochastic, right? That's number one. Or number two, I guess. Number three is the fact that we have this second stochastic momentum type indicator where, first of all, both of the lines are above the red line. So the red and the white line are above the horizontal red line, right? So signaling it's in overbought territory. But usually when they're both in there, it's a little more extreme. And if you ever get a crossover, so the white in this case crosses the red, that also signals some bearish, either an end to bullishness and or a bearish beginning, if that makes sense, or bearish reversal, right? So we're going to watch for that moving forward as well, maybe even as early as Monday. So, we'll keep an eye on that as well. And despite the BX trend is still making very small higher highs, the band is still very much red. So yeah, this is the most interesting part. Again, can NVIDIA push higher? Can it move higher? Can it go above 141? Absolutely it can, right? No question about it. I just don't think there's a good chance of it happening in terms of risk versus reward. And again, this is just not a place I would personally enter a position, a bullish position, and cross my fingers essentially, right? The risk is just way too high for me. You're buying again when it's very frothy, in my opinion, of course. And when I see these kind of bearish divergences and pretty much on the verge of bearish momentum crossovers as well, it's a very high risk trade. But again, to make it simple, just watch for the high of today and the low of today to break. Maybe as early as Monday, hopefully, probably no later than Tuesday. But honestly, I'd be surprised if it takes more than Monday. But watch for those levels. Watch for those potentially to break. And of course, that should give us a pretty decent hint as to what the stock probably wants to do next in that respective direction. So in my opinion, patience is required here. And let's just see what happens essentially for those kind of situations. You know what I mean? So let's take a quick look at options flow. So before we go into NVIDIA specifically, I actually noticed this as I was opening up Cheddar Flow, which by the way, Cheddar Flow and Blackbox, great option services. I have a link to them down below with discounts if you want to check them out for yourselves. But Cheddar Flow, you can see here as I open it, a lot of SPY puts came in. Even over here, you can kind of see them as well. A lot of SPY puts came in pretty much right as the market closed and actually post hours as well after the market closed. You can see like 413, 407, 407, right? One of which, of course, I mean, they're all pretty high, like 900 premium, 400K, 600K, 1.2 million, 300, 200, 100, 4.5, right? Very high premiums on SPY that are coming in. And one of them, of course, IWM and one of them QQQ, but, including a 1.2 million put that came in above the ask. So it shows some serious urgency. The fact that it happened after hours is also very interesting to me. 556 strike pretty much for December 20th, which isn't honestly, that's not even that far away. We're in October. That's like 2 months away. That's not too far away, right? And it is a 556 strike, which of course is actually pretty damn out of the money, right? 556. SPY's at 584. That's $20 lower, which explains why it's 2 months out. So I honestly view that as pretty bearish considering it's above the ask. That is a pretty bearish thing to see. But again, the market is very frothy right now. Now, yes, can it go higher? Absolutely. Am I shorting? Absolutely not. But as if it's not enough, and as if NVIDIA isn't, showing some very frothy indicators here, very overcrowded, I guess is another way to put it. SPY and QQQ are showing the exact, I mean, look at this stochastic, man. I mean, it did the same thing over here, right? Obviously, it stayed overbought for a very, very long time as it just continued moving up, but it's been doing that already. It's been overbought for quite some time, and it's just continued moving up. Same with SPY, right? It's just continued moving up day after day, essentially, for the most part, really, despite being extremely frothy and extremely overbought. So again, the market feels very frothy. Now, again, the market still looks pretty damn solid overall. It's still making higher highs. I wouldn't say the market's bearish by any means, but it does feel, at least as of this specific area, it does feel a little frothy. It does feel a little bit overcrowded. I'm not going to lie, it does. So if the market has to pull back or NVIDIA has to pull back, expect the other to follow roughly as well. But yeah, that's just kind of what I'm seeing right now. I mean, again, can it go higher? Absolutely. Can the market go higher? Absolutely. This is why I do not short. Like this, I hate shorting. I don't like to short because the market, unless you just get very lucky or you just have some god tier indicator, you're probably going to get squeezed out to a certain extent because the market will continue doing these moves that just seem impossible almost, and it'll continue doing it until it decides not to. And at some point it'll decide not to, and at some point you'll get a pretty fat red candle, which, if you happen to get lucky with the short, congratulations, you made a lot of money. But you're pretty much looking for a needle in the haystack because, it'll happen at some point. And if you keep looking enough in the haystack, you'll probably find the needle eventually. But, it's going to be a lot of pain up until that moment, essentially. I hope that kind of example makes sense. This is why I don't short though. But again, this is why I never short. It's extremely rare that I ever buy puts on anything because I just don't want to get caught. I don't want to have to wait for it. I don't want to have to sit here and wait for the market to pull back. It's just, and essentially be losing money as the market is just defying all reason and just going higher as if it's no big deal, right? That's just why I don't short. So, hey, I can keep saying, the market's looking frothy, but I'm not losing money doing it. That's for sure. Because again, I ain't shorting this thing. That's for sure. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling on. So hopefully that kind of gives you a rough idea as to what I'm looking for on NVIDIA and what I'm expecting moving forward. And let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. I think any weakness from here will start showing my indicators actually truly crossing bearish. And that could finally be that kind of nail in the coffin for us to move back down, at the very least, to that mid-ish 120s. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. And I'll see you for the next one. Peace.